Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our informative webinar designed to assist landowners and farmers in making informed decisions about converting their properties into a holiday campsite or motorhome park. Today, we are privileged to have two distinguished speakers who share their expertise and experience in the domain and shedding their light on crucial aspects of integrating camping grounds with their farming enterprises. Our first speaker is Con Quill. Con, you're there. How are you, Con?
Good morning, Barry. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. You're very welcome, Con. Great to have you here this morning from Blarney Camping. You bring a wealth of knowledge in the realm of camping grounds and motorhome parks, with a focus on site selection and infrastructure and the suitability and marketing. So Con is going to guide us through the intricacies of establishing and managing such ventures and trying to leverage it with the synergies of a farming activity as well. Joining us also is David Ross. I don't know if David just joined us yet, but David is representing top of the Rock Park. It's a renowned walking centre in Cork, and David has great insights into farm integration with camping, farm to table initiatives, community engagement, and sustainability practices. And David will provide us with great insights into the multifaceted benefits of blending agriculture with hospitality. So folks, this webinar is recorded and will be available for future viewing to ensure that the wealth of information from today is shared and can be accessed by a wider audience. So throughout the session, we'll encourage you to engage with our speakers by posting your questions in the Q&A section. That'll help us to delve deeper into the topics of interest. So without further ado, I'm going to share Con's slides here. Con, do you want to, just while I'm setting up your slides, just maybe tell us your background there. I know you're involved in Blarney Camping, but you're also representative of the Camping Association of Ireland as well. Isn't that correct?
That's correct, Barry. Yeah, we're the Irish Caravan and Camping Council, which it represents approximately 100 parks throughout the island of Ireland. There's a few in the north and the majority in Southern Ireland. We also, in addition, we would have some trade members, a core group of caravan dealers, motorhome hire companies, and equipment suppliers, and are additional to our membership. I suppose they are key members in the whole caravanning sector. We work together as a lobby group representing the sector. We lobby government, and we also carry out a strategic marketing program for all the caravan and camping parks. In cooperation with Tourism Ireland, and we work for Fault Ireland as well on that. We work on that under our brand of Camping Ireland, so that's our brand for marketing, and all our members would be registered with Fault Ireland or the Northern Ireland Tourist Board to ensure that they have a quality product. So that's the background to the Irish Caravan and Camping Council.
Yeah. Okay, Con, so you can see your slides there now, can you?
That's right. Yeah, we can see them. Okay.
Yeah. You can go on ahead there, so.
Yeah, so that's my own park is in Blarney Caravan Park, which you'll see here on the next slide as well. We've been operating this business since 1993. It was a tillage and beef farm that we were operating, and our parents basically started operating a farmhouse bed and breakfast prior to that. And that gave us a taste and a flavour of the tourism market. And luckily enough, with being close to Blarney Village and the Blarney Castle being on our doorstep, that was a big help to give us an idea of that there was a potential for this market. So we started, and now we carry out a lot of research. We basically converted a lot of the farm area over into caravan and camping. You can see from the slides that we were able to use the farm buildings to put in all the facilities, toilet and shower blocks, and the field just behind the farm buildings then was converted over to the caravan and camping park. There's 40 bays for caravans and motorhomes, and a big field area for tents and campers and tents as well, and a football field and playground. It's been quite popular, but and we've also included a 18-hole pitch and putt into it then as well. So, yeah, the next slide is introducing the sector itself. There is currently 81 Fault Ireland registered caravan and camping parks in Ireland. These range from sites with about 20 pitches to 250 pitches. Now, all these parks provide caravan and camping pitches for touring caravans, motorhomes, tents, and also incorporate mobile home pitches for glamping units, or sort of mobile home pitches and glamping units. Now the sector is, I suppose, caravan, just as a background to it, the caravan and camping sector is experiencing significant growth in the last few years, particularly with a lot of young families and millennials going into the business. The sales of caravans and motorhomes have jumped drastically following COVID as well. So that has seen a lot. So there is good potential for the business. A lot of people are, with a lack of accommodation in major areas, is a problem. So you're finding more and more people looking towards caravan and camping as well. So that's all helping to grow the business. And I think even the global camping market is growing right throughout Europe as well. So there's great potential in the sector. The benefits for operating it within a farm enterprise, well, potentially many farmers already are, it's an additional income for an existing farm, especially if you have extra land to spare. It can be operated and integrated into a working farm. We've seen several sites already doing that throughout the country. The other benefit that you have is many farmers have family members who would be able to work within the business, who are already there, would have time to give a hand within the business. So that's another benefit. The possibility of using existing farm buildings to provide the provision of campsite facilities is another bonus, and it also provides a good rural experience for the visitors and helps to attract more visitors into the area. The next slide, Barry. Then this one we would say would be under research and planning. I suppose I would categorize this as one of the most important ones. So before diving headfirst into starting a camping business, it's crucial to conduct thorough research and develop a solid business plan. These steps help you to understand the market and identify your audience and set realistic goals for your venture. So you should start by researching the caravan and camping industry in your chosen area. Look for trends, competitors, the level of demand for campsite services. This information will help you to determine if there is a viable market for your business and how you can determine yourself from the competition. Next, you should define your audience. Are you catering for families, adventure seekers, retired couples, or a specific niche such as glampers or motorhome enthusiasts? Understanding your ideal customer will guide your decision and making process throughout the planning and the development stages. I'd also recommend maybe visiting competition or visiting campsites in other areas to absorb ideas. Consider the size and the layout of your campsite. See how many campsite pitches can be reasonably accommodated. Will you offer tent sites, touring electric hookups, both? Determine the amenities you plan to provide, such as showers, toilets, picnic areas, and communal spaces. Additionally, and probably most importantly, what attracts campers to your area? Because again, campers won't come just because you have a campsite. You need something in the general area to attract them. So think about unique features that you offer, like scenic views, proximity to a popular tourist attraction, what you can offer on site, maybe scenic or access to hiking trails or walk paths and all that as well. So that's vital to be part of your whole setup in setting up. So the next one is this to selection and planning for your site. The location of your campsite is crucial to the access or to the success of your site. It will determine the accessibility, the attractiveness, and potential market reach of your campsite. There are some key factors to consider when securing a suitable location. The first and probably the most important one is planning permission. Any change from agricultural use to needs planning permission for the land. So this is the key consideration would be roadways, access, as well as the size of the site, the number of pitches, and the visual and landscape impacts and environmental impact and all that. So that is where there'll be a lot of work needs to go into first. And I think before you start, you need to get good advice on the whole planning permission. some operators probably decided they could try operate without planning permission, but we would not advise it because we've seen 1 or 2 places having to be closed down afterwards. So it's vital to have that. Proximity to natural attractions, again, the location to natural landmarks such as forests, lakes, rivers, or mountains, any scenic areas that needs to come into your consideration. Accessibility, ensure the campers have easy access by road, preferably within a reasonable distance from a built-up area like a village or a town, or where there's other facilities nearby, is also beneficial. And good road access and convenience for campers to reach all these areas is important. Safety and security, look for a location that's safe and secure for campers. Evaluate proximity for emergency services if they had to enter the site. Availability of fire prevention measures have to be included. Potential risks from wildlife. I would consider flooding or storm damage or anything. A good sheltered site would be important as well. So for that, or not too close to rivers or your environmental considerations. Choose a site that aligns with the responsibility of sustainable tourism practices. Ensure your campsite does not negatively impact on the environment, and you comply with environmental regulation restrictions. Size and capacity, again, access the size of the land, determine how many camp pitches you can accommodate comfortably without overcrowding. Consider the layout of the land, the availability of amenities, and privacy for campers. I think sort of a recommended one was 20 pitches per acre, what was recommended by Fault Ireland and the local authorities in the past. So that would be a guideline to work towards. Infrastructure and facilities, evaluate the existing infrastructure such as roads, utilities, and amenities like water and electricity supply. You would need a good electricity supply if you're running a site, especially if it's a larger site. You'd be talking about having 3-phase electricity available on site as well. So you'd need to consider that when you're determining the area, and also determine if any additional area could be done in the future. Under infrastructure and facilities, once you've secured the location of your campsite business and define your services, it's time to focus on the infrastructure development. This step involves creating necessary structures and facilities, provide a safe, comfortable, and enjoyable camping experience for guests. These are some of the key considerations for carrying out your required infrastructure development. The campsite layout and design. Plan the layout and design of your campsite to optimize space and ensure the efficient flow of campers. Consider factors such as the placement of campsite facilities, common areas, parking areas. Pay attention to providing adequate space for privacy for campers while maximizing and utilizing your land. Roads, ensure that these routes are well maintained. They're lit, they have to be lit up for safety and clearly marked to provide easy access and navigation for your campers. Reception, car park, and security barriers would include to that. Provide a suitable reception. This is an area where you can check in your guests, you can provide tourist information, you may provide a small shop within it. You'd also have Wi-Fi available. So to be a part of that, ensure there is sufficient car parking or parking for check-in. Again, your guests are arriving in cars and caravans, or they're arriving in camper vans or cars. You need a good parking area available and plenty of space to turn and to access. And if you can in such a way, we'd also recommend putting in security barriers. This manages access in and out of the site, and you know who's coming in and who's going out, and it makes it much more easy to manage. You'll also need to include toilet, shower blocks, laundry rooms, kitchens, dishwashing, and accessibility facilities. These are vital. I know a lot of campers already have a lot of these on board, but we've found in the last few years, while they would have them on their own camper vans or caravans, they much prefer more spacious ones on site, and they prefer the extra facilities like having laundry facilities or kitchen areas as well to give them more space. The infrastructure utilities, including would be Wi-Fi, now has become one of the very important things for people. So if you can have a situation where you can have Wi-Fi throughout the site, it's much more beneficial, and that's what's wanted by a lot of the customers now at this stage. electric hookups. Again, a lot of them coming in, they want power hookup to be able to charge up all their batteries to operate all the facilities on the caravan or the camper van as well. So that's very important. It's quite a big infrastructure to put down, but it's quite a key one to have it on a site. Again, water points, plenty of ample water points throughout the site or on pitches. You'll need a camper van service area if you're taking in camper vans. This is an area for them to drain out their grey water. They can pull in, fill up with fresh water in the morning before they head off as well. So hard standing pitches, again, if you're particularly camper vans, the hard standing pitches are much more beneficial, because if you get wet weather, parking and grass is not ideal. So we'd advise pretty good level hard standing pitches for camper vans or cars and caravans as well. Generally, I think the local authority would recommend, and the fire regulations also recommend, 6 meters between each pitch then as well. You'll also have to consider the sewage and the waste management. This will be covered under your planning, so it depends on your septic tank or connected to a public sewer. So that's all it'll be covered under your planning when you're doing that. Refuse management. This is, you have to develop an efficient refuse management system within your campsite, and it includes recycling bins conveniently, or maybe in a central area, as well as educating your campers. Many campsites will tell you this is quite a task in itself, because a lot of the sites are finding in the last number of years large volumes of refuse coming down, and managing the refuse and managing the recycling has taken up quite a bit of time on site. So it's an important area to get right and to consider. And other areas within the site then would be the signage, landscaping, maintenance, upkeep, and all that as well. So there's quite a bit of work in managing the site on that. Integrating it into the farm activities, then it's a good opportunity for your guests to experience a working farm. There's a local experience. Staying on a farm gives your guests a unique insight into the local culture and the way of life. It's beautiful surroundings. Many farms are located in stunning rural areas, providing beautiful views and plenty of opportunity for outdoor activities such as hiking, biking, kayaking. Campsites, the campsite should not interfere with the farm activities as well, and we would advise not having, if you can avoid it, livestock or chemicals or farm machinery and that too close to the campsite if possible, or also not to have noise within the campsite, because I think many campers like a good rest at night, so they don't want to hear a tractor going at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the morning if possible. So there are things to consider as well while you're integrating into your farm business. Then under sustainability and environmental considerations, that this is a very big area now, which I think we all know under the new climate action, all the procedures that are being put in place. So it's also very beneficial for the site. So you need to incorporate these practices into your campsite now. Especially it's ideal when you're developing the site, that you can consider a lot of the eco-friendly services such as recycling programs, energy saving. A lot of sites are putting in PV panels, now that on new buildings and all that as well. So again, that all helps to reduce your energy costs. So it's quite beneficial for the site operators as they go forward. Promoting leave no trace principles to minimize the impact on the environment, preserve biodiversity in the campsite when you're planning. And then there's also plenty of supports and advice available from Fault Ireland, the local enterprise office, or SCAI. I've actually had an experience of the local enterprise office, and they've done a green for business consultation on my site, and they've given plenty of good ideas and a good plan from my site to be able to become carbon neutral in the next number of years. So that's quite beneficial to work with the likes of the local enterprise office as well on that. The other a very important one is marketing, because it plays a vital role in attracting the campers into your campsite business and increasing the awareness of your offering. So you must implement a good marketing strategy that will help you to reach a target audience. Here, I suppose some of the key factors is to define your target market, develop a strong brand around your business, build a user-friendly website, which is very, very important to get your presence out there. If you have time, a good social media presence. A lot of the campsites join Camping Ireland, our own association, because we carry out a lot of this work on behalf of the campsites, which saves them a lot of time and effort on it. We promote a Caravan and Motorhome guide, which is just there's 55,000 copies of it distributed at overseas shows, and we also work with Tourism Ireland in overseas promotions, and we have a good website as well, which generates and drives a lot of traffic back through into members' existing campsites. So that's quite a good option for your camping, or to get it, especially to get a start on. You can also work with other online travel platforms, but again, they take commission, a good commission from the bookings. Or if you can develop, some sites are now developing online booking systems as well, because that's becoming more and more popular with your guests as well. So that would be under marketing and promotion. I suppose, like any business, regulatory and legal compliance is quite a big task. Obviously, we've covered planning permission is the first one, and that is the key to your business. But you also have some local authorities throughout the country also require campsites to have license annually for a sanitary service license. Again, that's where they carry out an inspection on the site, and basically just to make sure that the site is operating within the sanitary service, all the services are correctly operated, your sewage and accessing or with the site or doing that. So that's an annual license, only operated by some local authorities, not all. Health and safety regulations, again, like a farm business, campsite businesses have to comply under health and safety regulations. The building control acts, again, any of your buildings come under all that, again, that will come under your planning. Fire and safety regulations you're talking about, again, like your distance between pitches to avoid fire spreading. You're looking at, having fire extinguishers throughout the site. All your buildings are covered by fire extinguishers. And again, under your planning, the fire authority will, recommend all these regulations and may carry out an inspection as well. If discharge license, if you're discharging your wastewater from sewage into the land, you'll be required by most local authorities now are requesting a discharge license if you're using soak pits or anything like that. If you're offering food services on the site, again, you're covered by the food safety legislation. Having staff on site, again, employment law, the work relations committee have paid visits on some sites, and just to making sure that your employment contracts and all that are up to speed. Fall to Ireland regulation registration is an important one, because all caravan and camping parks have to register under the Tourist Traffic Act, and so and they also fall to Ireland, carry out a grading and a classification as well, and it's quite beneficial. They come around every year, but they offer a lot of good advice to sites as well. And by being part of the whole Fall to Ireland process, you have access to their helps and supports as well. So that is highly recommended. If you're not operating within Fall to Ireland, it's difficult to get out into the markets, and to get the marketing, you're really out on your own without having the backup and support through that as well. Insurance is another issue, obviously. Public liability, employers liability, property damage, and business interruption. So again, you need to ensure that your site is fully insured. FBD do quite a few campsites, so there's a few other operators doing them as well. Just under tax liabilities, I suppose you'll have to look at the option of whether becoming a limited company or a partnership is one version. The other thing to note is that operating a campsite, you're supplying holiday accommodation, and that must go under the VAT rate, the 13.5% VAT rate. So on all income that's taken in from that, you pay 13.5% VAT on it. The other thing that campsites would be, once you get your planning and operate your site, you would be considered a property business, and that will be liable for commercial rates with the local authority as well. So then I've just, for under success, I suppose there's quite a few farms already throughout the country who are operating caravan and camping parks. You can see, I've given an example. You have Nore Valley. They have a big petting farm up in Kilkenny, and they operate on a working farm as well. It's quite a success story. You can go onto their website and see the details. Parsons Green in Tipperary, again, they have a big petting farm, and they work it in conjunction with their existing farm. You have the apple farm in Tipperary. Again, there's a big apple farm, and he runs a nice little campsite within it. David from Top of the Rock will be talking and give you an update on the beautiful site down in Drumleague, and our own site again, which has been a working farm and has operated there. And just another outside success story, I think maybe many of you in the farming industry will know. I was just recently at a seminar in London where we had the British campsites talking together, and they had a speaker. He was Alan Henson, and he's from Countryfile. He does the Countryfile program on BBC on all the farming, and he operates a big farm up in the Cotswolds, and they have put in a big holiday park and caravan and camping park as part of it. And he gave us a good presentation on it, and he finished his presentation by saying the holiday and the caravan and camping park was the most profitable part of the whole farm. So it does show that it can be a good business to be within. Again, I suppose the lessons learned: research and create a good go-to-market for business plan for you launch your product. I think that's vital before you start it. And then once you get your business up and running, you must be committed to providing an excellent quality customer service and memorable visitor experience, and providing quality facilities and amenities and additional services. That, to me, if you do that, and it's quite a bit of work, that will ensure that you have a successful business going forward. And finally, I've just put on a few tips of places where to go to begin your research. You have a list of different sites, as obviously Teagasc and Barry and his team have quite a bit of information. Camping Ireland website will give you all the campsites and information. And Fault Ireland have a lot of insights and research throughout their website, so I've put several links through to them. Tourism Ireland again have a lot of research, particularly on overseas markets and the different types of market when the overseas. And again, you have your local enterprise board, which will give a lot of business supports. And finally, the leader program, which also is worth following up for any further supports as well. So I think that's all from me, Barry, at this stage. So if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer them. So.
That's great, Con. Thanks very much. That's a great presentation, great overview of the area, and gives people a good idea of the business and all of that. A good few questions coming in there, Con, as you can probably see them yourself. But I suppose one of them that's there is on rates. And what's the typical rates that would be payable? I'm sure it's different from one local authority to the next. Could you give us an idea on what type of rates will be payable on this commercial operation?
Again, there's nothing typical, but currently at the moment, the rates valuation office are carrying out a revalue throughout the whole country, and they have it done in a lot of places. Whereas traditionally, campsites and a lot of other businesses were rated on the size of the land and the size of the buildings and all that. It's now much more based on the lettable value of the property. So what you can let your property, and that's different from area to area. If you're close to a bigger built-up city or a very touristic area, you're on a much higher rates. If you're in a very rural area that has very low volumes of tourists, you'll have a much lower rate. Again, you're talking about anything from 2,000 to 10, 12,000. It all again depends on the size of the site. Again, because smaller sites obviously are going to be less, and big sites will pay more. So it can be quite substantial, even more for very big sites. But it is a one to be aware of, and it's another cost that's built into your site.
Another question there: do you offer food in your facility, and what type of controls do you have from authorities?
I don't offer food within my facility, so I'm not under any of the food acts at the moment. We have a small shop, and we have a lot of the local village food operators deliver food into the site to people. But as far as concerns giving out food ourselves, we don't. So that's not an issue for me. But other sites would have, all right, yes.
Okay, you've covered a lot, and maybe some people joined late, but could you just maybe outline what infrastructure and facilities are essential for ensuring a comfortable experience for campers and motorhome enthusiasts?
Yeah, going back to the facilities, I suppose the main thing is your amenity block is what they require, like toilet and shower facilities. Laundry facilities are very important for a lot of them traveling, especially overseas tourists that are out traveling for a good while. They come in, they want to be able to use laundry facilities.
And do you charge for that extra?
You can. Oh yes, yeah. You charge extra for laundry. Like a lot of sites would put in a commercial machines, and they're either coin operated or token operated or whatever. Yes, but yeah, standard all sites would nearly be charging for laundry.
Mm.
Then you'd have a big kitchen area amenity on the site as well. The more activities then you can have for people on site as well, like walking, sports, playground for children, all those things help to attract more and more visitors onto the site. Well, you can survive without them, but it's important to have that as a key consideration. The other one is Wi-Fi. As I say, a number of years back, that was a luxury. Now nearly every second person wants to be able to connect their
Thankfully.
phone and connect everything. So that's a very important service if you can get it in on the site as well. So plus
Mhm.
then obviously electric hookups and all that across the site as well. There's a big demand for that when they come in on these. So.
And Con, do you do anything under sustainability, or are many of the campsites doing stuff like maybe integrating solar PV for generating the electricity, or maybe for heating purposes,
Yeah.
for electricity heating, is solar PV or any other renewable technologies being adopted? And does that help with the planning process as well?
Well, I would presume it will definitely help with the planning process. A lot of the existing sites, they have started looking at it, and I know several of them have already put in the PV panels, and a lot of them are on that road to go to doing all that. So, as I said, I did a recently Green for Business one myself, and made some very good recommendations on it, and I have plans for putting in a whole lot of PV panels. It'll save me in the long term. It's a big saving in your energy costs as well, because you are using a lot of energy on the site when you, particularly with a lot of people coming in, plugging into on the site. So it's going to be very beneficial if you can produce your own electricity.
And of
Um,
course, the season as well, Con, you're producing that electricity through solar in the summer months, which is your key peak season as well.
that's right, yeah. It'll be very beneficial because you have the long days that time of the year, and you'll get more benefit out of the PV panels. And that's the other part of the business, Barry, as well, is because it is a seasonal business. It starts from, we'll say, Easter time, and it gradually rolls along. But once you get into the main summer from mid-June, July, and August, it peaks into a very busy period, and then it starts slipping off again from September. So that's the nature of the business as well.
How do you deal with the seasonality of that, in terms of a labour force? What would be your peak employment in the summer months? I presume it's students that are off school for the summer that you employ. And then, there will be those shoulder months then as well, where you probably don't have the students, but probably still might be quite busy. How do you manage labour? And how many people would you typically employ throughout the year on your site, for example?
On my site, it would be a smaller site. We would employ, I suppose, during the summer months, 5 to 6 employees during the summer, the main summer months. So there'd be a few students, and then we would have sort of 1, 2 employees across the winter months, then just to keep the site maintained. And even when you're closed down, there's always work doing.
Mm.
But it is difficult, and that is one of the difficult things about seasonal operation, because not being able to hold staff over the winter months and losing them, and obviously your staff will go away and they might get a job somewhere else. Then, so that is a difficult one to grapple with,
Mm.
especially as we sort of have reached full employment in the country. So staff management is something, and you need a lot of help during the main summer months then when it's quite busy. So it has to be ratcheted up, quickly, and train them in as well, and ensure that they're working correctly. So
Yeah. You mentioned there about green strategies there that you are green charter that you were involved in recently. Can you give us an idea of green practices that could be done? We mentioned the solar already, but are there other things that could be done, like maybe separating waste? Is there other green strategies that you could recommend to people on site that could
yeah,
be implemented?
well, the other thing is what they've recommended and we're doing is changing all the lighting throughout the site all to LED lighting to reduce the energy usage on that. Um, looking at, I mean, we're currently heating water on my site. I'm currently using kerosene. So moving away from that, they're recommending going towards something more like a heat pump or something. But again, if you had your PV panels and creating more electricity, it might be an option. We're looking at putting in maybe electric car charging points as well, possibly putting in 1 or 2 of them, and then creating a biodiversity area within the site as well, sort of for wildflowers and all that as well, to add to the to help the carbon within the site as well. So putting that in, and then plus educating your guests, because again, going back to what I mentioned earlier on refuse, it's recycling. You also have to educate your guests as much as you can to make sure that they do the recycling properly for you. Otherwise, it's creating a lot of extra work for staff on site to be managing refuse as well. So they would be the main key areas within the site and things. So.
Yeah. How do you see the future of camping grounds and motorhome parks evolving? Do you see them going that way, like electric vehicles catering for all of that? Do you see the space requirement changing? Do you see more on health and safety in the future? Where do you see it all going?
Yeah, I see camping becoming more of an eco across Europe as well. In particular, it's becoming more eco campsites, because of its proximity and close to nature. A lot of families and people like that type of holiday now, and it's becoming more popular. You're seeing an increasing number of camper vans coming in as well. Now, there's pluses and minuses with that, because some more of them are trying to stay on the road and not come into sites. But you need to provide the proper facilities for them to attract them in as much as possible. So campsites were changing more of that. They're putting in more hard stands and more Wi-Fi throughout the campsites as well. All those extra things to, again, EV charging points. It is one that's within debate within the industry, but in a lot of rural cases, not having the volume of electricity, because they will use quite a lot of electricity to charge vehicles overnight. You'd want a good three-phase supply, or probably even a lot more than three-phase supply, to charge a lot of cars coming in. But some sites are starting to put in maybe individual 1 or 2 units now for a number of cars. But as that increases, it's something we're going to have to watch closely with it, because we are an ideal opportunity. They're parked overnight, and they can, if you could provide the facility, obviously you would charge them for it. But it's quite a costly piece of infrastructure to put in. And particularly with if you don't have enough electricity for it as well, that will add an awful lot of cost to your whole infrastructure setup as well. So
yeah. And in terms of the local community, do you have to forge any partnerships there? Or do you think it makes sense to forge partnerships maybe to enhance the offerings, not just at Blarney camping, but all types of camping sites? Is it good to forge those partnerships?
Oh, it is, yeah. We'd work with the local, we work in the local chamber and the local community as well. And you're employing staff from the local community as well. And, you involve, or we support, like we run a pitch and putt course here, and you have the local GA clubs and the local people in and out as well. And it actually, I find it good, because it introduces them. They come in and they say, we've never heard or seen a campsite. So a lot of people, it's something very new, and they suddenly realize, they can see it when they come in. So it's beneficial to work with the community, and it benefits them as well, because you're also providing employment and extra work within the community. We have the local taxi drivers, the local restaurants, the local shops. We work with all of them, and they all get business out of it as well, because camping is more. They come into the site, but they need a lot of things from the local area, like being able to go out to restaurants at night. It's not like being within a hotel where you have everything within it. The campers need more from the local community than other types of accommodation, because they're a more basic type unit, and I suppose they're self-catering. So they'll buy in the local shop, they'll fill up with petrol, they'll go to the local attraction, they'll use the local taxi, restaurant, and all that. Yeah. So it's a great benefit to the local community. So it's very important to be involved with the community as well and bring them on board in it.
And if you have active tourism beside you as well, like people that's offering maybe bicycles for renting, or maybe they might have another business that you can link up with, or maybe offering kayaks, that's another opportunity to maybe forge those partnerships as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Could you maybe share some insights on the financial aspects of running a campsite, a camping ground? And I suppose when we talk about camping grounds here as well, Colin, we're talking about motorhome parks as well. Maybe as well, just elaborate as well on the space that's needed, because is it different from a motorhome park to a camping site in terms of, you mentioned pitches per acre, that maybe 20 pitches per acre, but is there so many square meters that's needed per campsite for maybe 8 people, or for 4 people, or are there rules of thumb there, or is there something specifically written anywhere that it has to be so many square meters under any planning laws?
What was recommended was sort of 5 by 8 meters was the pitch itself. That's to put your camper van or your caravan on it, and then you have 6 meters between it. That's for fire safety, the fire authority. I think the planning recommends that as well. That would be the sort of size of the pitch. Now you can go bigger with pitches, and some sites are. If you have the space, it is more beneficial to go a bit bigger and give more space to them, especially some of the units are. You're finding bigger camper vans or bigger caravans coming in on the market as well. So from the continent, we see some quite large type vehicles. So if you have space, or even put some few extra pitches that are much larger, so that would
Okay,
be
and
very important.
on the financial side, then what is a typical charge per night for a motorhome or for a camp?
A typical charge at the moment is sort of approximately, we say in the low season, you're talking about at the moment, well, obviously has gone up a bit in the past year or two with VAT increases and staff increases. That has put charges up a bit. You're talking about 30 to 35 euro per night. That's for two people in a car or a caravan or a motorhome for the night. Now that's providing all the facilities as well with it.
That's in low season now, is it?
Pardon?
That's in low season, is it?
That's in low season. High season, it can be it goes up a few euro, maybe just up to 40 euro for two people. No, it varies between different sites, but it'll be approximately. So no, you have some motorhome parks. There are a few around the country trying to offer cheaper, but again, if they're not offering services or facilities, we currently don't have any motorhome parks in our membership because they're not registered with Falls Ireland, because they don't provide the facilities. There's no proper registration for motorhome parks as it exists at the moment.
Oh.
I can't really tell you a lot on what's operating within that sector. These would be sites that would be just operating something for motorhomes without any facilities on them.
Okay.
Again, it's up to the planning and what the planning will allow or don't allow in your area. There's quite a bit of that going on, maybe with some local authorities providing car parking areas for overnight, but again, they're without facilities. We'd start to promote the sites where people have a more safer location to stay on, and that they have access to facilities as well. And I think
it's always good for people to meet up with the planning authority and have a pre-planning meeting before you decide on what your final plans are, and just to discuss it with the local planners.
That's right.
Questions come in here about how do you leverage technology and innovation to improve the operations and the guest experience at your camping grounds? And maybe have you seen it in other places that there's certain technology? It could be maybe clocking in, clocking out, maybe swipe cards, all that kind of stuff. Is there technology that you think can make the whole process much easier and reduce labor requirements?
Yeah, well, we access in our park is done by barrier system. Now we do it a bit more manually, but we do provide a key fob for people that they can access in and out. But there is other sites, and they're putting in the vehicle registration reading, and when you check in online, you put in your vehicle registration so that you'll have access to in and out of the site. That is changing, and there's obviously with better technology and better systems coming in place. More and more sites. We've seen a lot of sites in the last 10 years putting in barrier systems and access into the site, so that has improved quite a bit. A lot of them are doing online booking now as well, so I had to go on to online booking, so that's pre-registering before they come in, and it makes access to the site easier and quicker rather than the traditional registration at check-in. So again, I suppose for each campsite you do have to have a record of all the guests and their information, but by doing that online it makes life a lot easier. That has been one of the bigger areas that is growing. You'll see guests that pull up to the entrance, and they mightn't even come into the reception. They're able to check in online at the car park at the entrance, and they just stick their nose in the door and say, "I'm there," and you direct them to their pitch, and it's done quickly as well. So that's probably one of the main things you can see, that between Wi-Fi and access control, all that's improving. On the continent, I've seen a few sites where they have gone completely. There's no check-in at all. You can just pay with your card, and it opens the barrier. You register at the gate and go in. But I think guests still like a certain amount of physical contact. While it's more expensive to operate it, it is nice, especially when you're in a new area, that you go in and you meet someone, because they ask a lot of questions about the locality, or they may even have a problem with their camper van or caravan or something, and where do I go for a local garage, or so you still need that level of contact with people to give a real good service rather than becoming automated completely. So
Yeah, absolutely. A question here is, what are the biggest challenges you faced in your role, and how have you overcome
them? I suppose, well, currently at the moment, the biggest challenge is, was like for every business, is rising costs is quite a big challenge at the moment. And you're trying to manage your price, because you don't want to become uncompetitive, but you don't want to just keep increasing prices just for the sake to pay the increasing costs. So that's quite a difficult challenge at the moment. I suppose setting up initially, it's quite a challenge. It's daunting when you look into it, because I think when we started off first, we were farming as well, and we thought we could just open the gate and let the camper in, and it was easy, until we started carrying out the research and then realized, hang on, there's a little bit more involved to this, and it takes quite a bit more time and work to manage it, but it does pay off, I think, and when you see people satisfied and happy and returning back again, you get a big dividend from that. So I suppose setting up initially and building the business over years. And I suppose at the moment, then the other issue is which I mentioned earlier, is staffing, and just trying to maintain staff levels. That's another issue again, and ramp up for the summer. And then you're retraining new staff every year because of the seasonality of it. That probably is one of the other difficult ones, or ones that needs to be managed, like on the sector as well. So.
And would maintenance be a big challenge there as well, like the upkeep of the camper van spaces to ensure that they remain in good condition? I'm sure lawns have to be mowed, and there's controlling weeds around the place and all of that. Is there a lot of upkeep around the site throughout the year?
Yeah, for us it's a full-time job, and we have quite a bit of equipment, and you'd have 2 staff working in it nearly all the time during the summer months and things. You're mowing grass and cutting, and then you have to wait for, if certain caravans or awnings are up and they're pulling out on different days and someone else is coming in, you need to move in quickly and cut it and clean it up. Guests, as concerns keeping the place clean themselves, we always find if you keep it clean, your guests keep it clean as well. It works both ways. But cleaning toilet blocks several times a day, you need staff in and out doing that all the time. Cutting hedges, trimming back the hedges, keeping footpaths clean, managing refuse. So there's a lot of maintenance during the summer months, and as you know, here grass growth keeps growing all the time, no matter what's happening around it, and then you get wet weather or difficult conditions in the middle of it, so that makes it quite difficult as well. So, but having a good team and having good equipment, but it is a very important job. We find it pays off dividends. People do like the place when it's well kept and well maintained, and they'll comment very much on it, and it brings them back again. So it's like anything, when you go into a nice place and it's well maintained and kept, it makes it more attractive. Managing flower beds and all that as well. So there's quite a bit of work on all that across the summer.
Are there any issues with noise on the sites? That's a question that's come in there. Do you have any issues with unruly guests that are maybe making noise and keeping others awake, and that you're dealing with complaints overnight or anything like that? Would that be a challenge, or maybe for neighbours in the area?
Well, yeah, it's something that you have to manage very much. That would be one of the things that you have to manage on site. You have to be aware and be prepared for it at all times. We don't take big groups, or we watch groups and things, because, as I say, we don't want, in our business, where we're very much a touring park, and we get a lot of couples coming in who want somewhere quiet to stay at night, so they don't want to be next to a big group who's playing a guitar, drinking beer around the fire in the middle of the night and singing and dancing. So we have strict rules in place, and after 11 o'clock, everyone has to shut up shop and move indoors, move into their caravan or a camper van, and they can't be sitting out making noise at night. So you have to have someone on duty at night, managing the place, because if you don't, it goes out of control very quickly. So by having that, most of the time you don't have a problem. But again, it depends on the area you're in or the type of business you're attracting. But it does take quite a bit of management on from the site level. Having a strict policy and in place, I think, is key to it, and managing from there. Then after that is very important, because you say you don't want to upset neighbours, or you don't want to upset your existing guests, and you find if all it takes is one crowd to make noise at night, and the next morning you'll have 4 or 5 other crowds booking out that are not happy. So it's that's down to management. There's quite a bit of management in ensuring that. So.
Questions come in there about traffic control. They have a by road that they're living on, and they're wondering about, would that be a problem for planning, getting access there? Presumably if you have motorhomes and two big motorhomes meeting each other on a small road, that's going to be a big issue from a planning perspective anyways. And maybe if you just to follow up on that as well, could you just maybe talk about the idea of maybe would it be a good idea to have one way in and another way out, or what's is there a best practice in traffic management on sites?
Yeah, well, within the site, I think that the HSE has been promoting and whatever, it was sort of a one-way system, but that's within the site. Coming into the site, now I know a number of sites which are narrow roads, but yeah, the type of unit that's coming in, as you say, you can see big camper vans or cars and caravans or jeeps and caravans coming in. Again, it's up to your local authority really will define the access at the end of the day, but some of them might have, if you can have areas that you can pull in as you're coming in to allow, one car to pull into the left and another one to pass them, and something passing areas. But again, it's something that you need to look with your local planner, but you would need to consider access. It is important into the site. Yeah.
Questions come in here as well, Con. How do you manage waste disposal and environmental impact associated with camper van stays in your farm?
You're talking about grey water. Well, a lot of the camper vans, they have a tank where when I say grey water, it's shower and sink water. So we have an area that drains off that goes through to the main sewer. But they also would have what they call a chemical toilet. That's for their own toilet on board camper van. That is a unit with a chemical in it. So we have a specific area for them to empty that. I know that's used within the caravan or the camper van. Again, that's all through our discharge license, that there's a certain amount of it allowed through into the septic tanks. We're on septic tanks, we're in the country. The other sites are on main sewage, so it depends where you are. But yeah, that chemical toilet is something to be watched as well, because there's a lot of usage of that, but the local authority are allowing it. It's quite an expensive operation if you had to get a separate tanker to take it away. I don't know anyone that has been required to do that, because a lot of them are managing it within the existing system at the moment. So
and just to cover the other side of waste as well, dealing with, we say, refuse waste, how do you manage? Do you have a rule of thumb? Do you have recommendations in terms of separating waste? Do you collect biological waste separate to plastics and all of that and paper?
Well, what we do is we separate paper and cardboard. We also separate glass. We have tins. We have plastics, all in separate bins at the moment. We'll be putting we have put general refuse after that, but we will be putting in a composter this coming year as well for composting. That's the new one that we're looking at as well. And after that is general waste. So we have a couple of different companies in that remove the waste, but they're all licensed companies. And every year, or under our sanitary service license, the local authority come in as well, and they check that all the waste is going to properly licensed operators as well. So. And it's the same with you have to empty your septic tank as well. That's all going through a licensed operator, and it's all kept on paper so to prove it. So it's important to make sure that everything is going in the right place. But refuse is a very big issue on the site, because I think an awful lot of people found that. So people, when they come in, they have a huge amount of refuse, and we've noticed more, especially during COVID. They just go out in the evenings at restaurants and eat out, but now they were getting takeaways and food services and bringing them onto the site, and that increased your refuse substantially then on site as well. And it's quite an expensive, it's very expensive to get all the refuse moved as well. So that's increasing quite quickly as well. So that all needs to be built into your costs.
Question here, we are kind of coming up on time here, but what is the process from becoming registered? Question from Fiona. What is the process to become registered with Fáilte Ireland?
They have two types of registrations: an approval service. It was a welcome standard approval, but for a caravan and to operate a caravan and camping park or campsite or caravan site or whatever, it has to be registered under the Tourist Traffic Act. You go onto the Fáilte Ireland website, and it gives you all the information about the registration. So you need to contact Fáilte Ireland, and they'll send you
And
on the
is
details.
there a fee associated with that, Con, as well? Do you have to pay an annual fee to Fáilte Ireland to register?
There would be an annual fee. Yeah, it'd be about €100. Not 100. No, again, it all depends on the size of the site, but around 100, €150 or something like that, approximately. It depends on the size of the site. It's not too expensive, to be honest with you. In the overall opinion of things, they do give a good service. They'll do a yearly inspection where they give you a lot of advice then on the site as well. But prior to that, you need to talk to them and make sure you're doing the facilities right, what they require. You'll see they have there's two things. There's a registration under the Tourist Traffic Act, and that gives the basic guidelines of what you need, which is important as a site. It's in the link that I gave there at the end of the presentation.
Yeah, and we'll share that presentation with everyone afterwards as well. Yeah.
And then there's also a grading and a classification, which is that's increasing the stars that you have. That's very much based on the service on the site and the management of the site, and as well, and the quality. So
Okay.
it's
A question here from Linny as well. She says, do you have any problems with insurance for camping sites?
Yes, well, like all businesses, we've in the past number of years, it's got quite expensive, and there has been a certain amount of, not a big lot, a certain amount of claims, especially around playgrounds and things like that can happen. Not a big volume of them, but what we found was there was very little competition. A lot of the site owners were only finding that there was only one provider offering them the service, and they could call what price they can. It seems to be improving slightly at the moment, but not enough to what we work with the Insurance Alliance, which has been promoting, pushing the government to bring in more reform around insurance as well, which they have brought in quite a bit of reform in the last number of years around the duty of care and all that. But again, premiums haven't come down to match, the amount of reform that has been done. So it's to get more competition in. We work with FBD a bit. We have a close liaison with FBD, and they're quite good around farm campsites as well and things like that. So
we might go through these very quickly just before we finish up, Con. Just maybe a comment more than anything else, but somebody applied for planning permission a number of years ago, impossible to get in the County Clare area, looking for us to upgrade the town sewage system despite having toilets on site. These requirements were financially out of their league. So I suppose that's something you're hearing quite a bit, is it?
Oh yeah, I know. That's the difficulty with the whole planning system and the sewerage. It can be quite an expensive one. Yeah. I know of a site that was being charged they were looking for 120,000 or something to connect to get the water and the sewage connection, which was not feasible for them to operate and things. Yeah. So they are problems you can run into. Yeah.
The question: are there grants available to develop a website or social media advertising? I think there are grants available to the local enterprise office in that area.
Yeah. Yeah, we got good grants. The trading, was it the online trading voucher, will give you 50% of your website, or if you're doing online booking or anything. Yeah, that's very valuable to look into.
Question here from Johnny: how much investment is required for a 1.6 acre site catering for 24 to 30 berths?
Again, I couldn't tell you directly on that, because it all depends on the number of facilities that you're putting in. It's very hard to put a figure on that at this stage, because it's what amenities you're putting in, what road structure you're putting down. But going back to what I'm saying, I would recommend doing it right from first day. If you try and do a very poor quality job, it won't pay with the visitor coming in. That'll take quite a bit of financial planning to get to a figure on that, to be honest with
you. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, and final question here: are you glad you diversified to camping and motorhome park, or do you wish you had stayed at farming?
I get asked that question every day of the week by people. Well, I am glad. Yeah, when we farmed, I was trained in Paliskinry Agricultural College, and I enjoyed farming, and I still do a bit. But my answer to them is I'm still farming. I work 7 days a week. It's a seasonal job. I do depend on the weather, and it's just a different crop. So,
absolutely. Yeah.
It's within a farm, but and I'm still working the same farm as I was, but it's just a different crop.
Yeah. Okay, so as we draw a close on today's webinar, I want to extend my sincere thanks to Con Quill for his time and sharing his invaluable insights. Con has great expertise in this camping and the motorhome park industry from both an industry lobbying side and also on the practice side as well. I know that David is there on standby. He did send us a message. He had difficulty in logging in, so he sends his apologies there as well. But we'll share, David had a presentation and we'll share David's presentation here afterwards as well. But Con, you were well able to answer all the questions and you filled up the time very, very well. So no bother. So, and we thank David for being there on standby as well. So on behalf of Teagasc, I want to extend our thanks to both David and to Con for being available today to speak to you. And I know David has spoken at a number of other Teagasc events and at various different occasions. Remember that the recording of this webinar will be available for future viewing, so keeping the wisdom out there for future generations to come. So as a special announcement, we're thrilled to inform you that next week's webinar will take place on Wednesday, so not on the Thursday, but on Wednesday, February the 28th, between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. We're going a bit earlier. So we have the honour of hosting Anne-Marie O'Connor. She's the Principal Officer from the Department of Housing, and Anne-Marie will enlighten us around the vacant property renovation grant. So there's lots of vacant properties around the country. There's grants available for doing those houses up. So we look forward to everyone joining us for an insightful discussion about the vacant property renovation grant. That'll be on Wednesday between 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock. So with that, I bid you farewell and wish you well with your endeavours on your farm-based hospitality. So until we meet again, bye-bye. Thanks, Con.
Thank you, Barry.
Bye-bye. See you.